I walked through a field of tall, green grass. I held out my fingers, letting them skim and skip over the tips of each tall blade. I closed my eyes and lifted my chin. The sun warmed my face. When I opened my eyes, the sky burst in the most beautiful hues of blue. My heart floated and my mind eased. I inhaled slowly. But before I could exhale, something sucked me out of that dream and back into the cold, hard reality of my world. I passed out again to the sound of medical machines beeping and the muffled talking of doctors. Most 3-year-olds have it pretty easy. Food to eat, toys to play with, stories to read to you before bed. The world is one big, big place filled with parents and siblings and friends. Most of us can't remember much from when we were 3, but in most of those memories, we're pretty darn happy. But for me, it was different. I always seemed to have the flu, or some symptom of some other common colds. But this time, my sickness affected me worse than normal. It got so bad that one night my parents drove me to the hospital. That day, the doctors diagnosed me with stage 3 leukemia. They looked at my parents and said, "It's unlikely your son will live much longer." At 3 years old, your brain is so busy learning so many things: language, sights, sounds, smells. Your brain is taking in a lot of information and your synapses are firing. But at 3 years old, you don't really understand the larger world around you, and you certainly don't have deeper questions like, what happens when you don't live anymore? So, I don't think I really understood what I was being told when the doctors and my parents tried to explain leukemia to me. My parents, on the other hand, were not so lucky. They were destroyed with grief. I have a vivid image, more like a snapshot of a dream than a reality. Even though I know it really happened, my parents sit in an empty waiting room. It's the middle of the night. The wallpaper is an ugly shade of green. There are magazines on the table and colorful kids' toys. My parents sob uncontrollably, looking up to the doctor in his white coat. What I know now is this: we have white cells that are your body's soldiers that fight off disease. Leukemia causes white cells to multiply uncontrollably, which are not able to fight infections and even prevent the healthy soldiers from doing so. Any minor sickness would affect me. What I knew then was this: it hurt so bad that I wanted to scream. I didn't feel good at all, and my mom's hugs and my dad's bedtime stories didn't really make me feel any better. I started chemotherapy that same week, but while chemo pounces on leukemia, it also affects other vital parts of your body. It's a question of what gets worse first, you or the disease. Chemotherapy is very strong because it affects your immune system. Even the simple flu can be lethal. So, I was forced to stay in the hospital, as closed off from the outside world as possible. This protected me from the outside germs, but as days turned into months, I felt locked away in that hospital room. It was more like a prison than a hospital. The 5-year survival rate for leukemia is about 61%, which are pretty decent odds. But over the next 2 years, the chemo wiped me out completely. I was barely moving while I fought the disease, and my body fought to live. But in 2006, I finally left this world. At just 5 years old, my soul left this mad world. I woke up in a field of tall, green grass. Those warm arms wrapped around me in the most comforting hug imaginable. I could feel the arms' gentle caress. I felt peace. I looked up into the sky and took in all the hues. Suddenly, I felt a jolt, and something sucked the warmth away and pulled me back into reality. I was officially gone for almost 2.5 minutes, and awoke utterly confused and astounded. Everything was so cold and bright. I felt the harsh sense of reality and realized I had come back from the grave. I woke with a doctor compressing my chest, but then I must have passed out again because I don't remember much else. I later learned that when I flatlined, the doctors performed CPR and got my heart beating again. The doctors saved my life that day, and within another year, they saved me from leukemia too. I was released from the hospital a healthy, young little man, but my fight with leukemia left scars, both mental and physical. My fight is still not over, even today. Because leukemia affects so much of the body and mind, it often causes problems after leukemia itself is done. The range of effects are huge, from physical issues like infertility and increased risks of other problems, to mental issues and poor study skills, sometimes called chemo brain. even to social issues like denial of health insurance. For me personally, it took years of slow and tiring physical therapy, but I was finally able to walk and run and play with my friends. I have muscle and bone density problems. That means a simple fall and I might end up back in a hospital bed. I'm smaller than most people my age, and my lung capacity is lower than others too. My back and much of my entire body has been weakened by the medicines that saved my life. In school, I have a bit of chemo brain, but I don't struggle too much. I have to go in for regular doctor visits, and I'm always a bit paranoid I have another problem, even when I know I don't. All in all though, I think I have it pretty light compared to others. The hardest part of recovery was more psychological. I found myself hating the world for a long time. I could not understand why I survived only to spend years watching my friends run and play, knowing I'd be seriously risking my health if I played like that, like a normal child. I was given perspective though. Most people will never understand, and I felt things that others should never have to feel. A grieving family, a broken body, and a twisted mind. But I was also given the opportunity to see things I wish more people could see. That green grass, that warm sun. I can still see, still feel the warm arms wrapping around me and that sense of true, internal peace. I'm happy to be alive, don't get me wrong. It's nice to know what I have to look forward to after life. I am now 18 years old. I run track with my friends, and I am as healthy as ever. I still go back to the hospital every year to get checked and to revisit my past. My family has been through hell and back, and we have all learned that if life throws an obstacle your way, don't let it stop you. Just leap past it and move onwards into the future. In several studies, survivors of childhood leukemia have reported that they feel happy and fulfilled in their life, sometimes even more than people that have never been ill. That's how it is for me. I hated every day I fought with leukemia, but having to deal with such a heavy disease changed me. I appreciate life much more.